G'day, welcome back to Talk Time with Tomo. Today I want to have a talk about the pension, getting the pension in Australia. You know, getting the pension, mate, it's pretty damn difficult. Now, I don't live in Australia anymore. I lived in Australia and worked in Australia and that, so I am entitled to the pension. Now I'm living in Japan, and I do get a pension in Japan. It's not much because I didn't pay in for the full time, so it's a part of a pension, but it is a pension anyway, and it was pretty easy to get. I went to the pension office, they filled out the forms with the lady. She was as nice as anything. And I had to do a couple of things. I had to go to the city office and get something done, and I had to go to the bank and get something done. She gave me her card and said, look, when you go to the city office and the bank, just get them to ring me and I'll tell them what I want them to do and I'll make it easier for you. So I did that. They did it. And I got the pension pretty well the next month. I got the pension it was all fixed up, ready to go. And they back paid me. I did it when I was 65, but you can actually claim the pension from when you're 62. So they back paid me. I got back paid for that time. So it was pretty good. Anyway, we're getting into the Australian pension. So I rang up the Australian Embassy and asked them about getting the pension. They knew nothing about it, which I thought was a bit weird. But anyway, they said you got to contact Services Australia. So I got onto Services Australia webpage. It is so outdated and antiquated and bloody hard to use. It's a friggin' nightmare to navigate. Anyway, after a long time fooling around on their webpage, I actually found a thing, or a mate found it for me and sent me the link, where you can claim for the pension while you're in Japan. You go to the pension office and fill the paperwork out at the pension office, and then they send it to Australia and off you go. So anyway, I downloaded the form and filled it out. I rang up the pension office and made an appointment, because you can't just turn up at the pension office. You have to have an appointment because it takes a while to do these things. So anyway, I made an appointment. It took about a month to get the appointment. So anyway, I went to the pension office. The lady was as nice as pie again. I was probably there for an hour and a half filling all these, we checking the ones I had done to make sure it was right, just fixing anything up that wasn't right. And there was another one I had to fill out, which was like for your assets, like you own a house and cars and furniture and all this sort of stuff, and part-time jobs and that sort of stuff, because I still do have part-time jobs in Japan. Anyway, we got all that fixed up, and she date stamped. I told her to make sure you don't stamp it, because we get back paid from there. So she did that, send it off to Australia. And then this was in about the third week of February. Anyway, I never had the Centrelink number. I never had a Centrelink number. I didn't know it. I had one, but I just didn't know it. So anyway, I was going to Australia in the end of March for 2 weeks. So I went to Australia, and when I was in Australia, I went to Social Services Australia, and got my Medicare card renewed, because it had been expired for over 20 years. I hadn't been to Australia for over 20 years, 25 years or so. So we got that done, and I found out my Centrelink number, and the guy, he was pretty nice. He fixed me up a link so I could click on the link and it'd take me into my Gov app, and then it would all fix itself up and everything. So we did that. When got home, hit it up, and everything worked fine. Now that was, this was in March. So I never heard a thing from them. I still to this date have not heard a thing from them about it. Anyway, a mate said, I'll go in and check about it for you, So he went in, and they said, no, he won't talk to him because he's not a nominee. I need a nominee. Because you can't ring them, they won't answer their phone. I tried ringing them one time. I was on the phone for about 20 minutes or 30 minutes and just on hold and never answered. Like international calls, it costs you a fortune, so I'm not doing that anymore. Anyway, so I said, okay, well, how about we make I made me mate a nominee. So I tried doing it on the app, and then you put it in, and then it says it takes 2 weeks for it to go through, and then just disappeared. So I did it again, and that same thing sort of happened. So he got the paperwork from the Services Australia, so we could do the nominee thing. Anyway, when the guy who gave him the paperwork, he said, "Oh yeah, I can see it here. I can't tell you anything about it, but I can see it. It's in the system." So he said, "Yeah, it'll be right." So anyway, we made him a nominee, and then last week he went down to see him, and the woman he was talking to said, "Oh no, that you can't do it. Can't put the application in Japan. You've got to do it in Australia." And he said, "Well, why haven't you told him any of this? He hasn't heard anything for over 6 months, Why didn't you tell him?" He said he was here in March. He could have put all the stuff in March when he was here, but nobody's ever told him. And so she said, "Oh, well, that's not my sort of problem, blah, blah, blah." She was just a lazy bitch, didn't want to do nothing, So anyway, he came home and he gave me a call and told me. And I said, "Well, that's weird. Like on the homepage, and if you search, it tells you can do it in Japan." And I said, "The forms are in both English and Japanese, like it's got the English and underneath it's got the Japanese written, That's sort of like a bilingual form." So I said, "This is really weird." So, we searched about it, and you can, from everything I've searched, you can do it in Japan. So he's made a copy of all that stuff. He's going to head back down to the Services Australia this week and have a talk to them again and show them all this stuff and see what happens. But, this has been over 6 months, going on 7 months. And I have never heard one thing about it. If they need other documents, or, if they need a copy of my bank account or whatever, I've just heard nothing about it, which I think is absolutely crazy, You think they would let you know what's going on, but no, it's just unbelievable. Now, I think they make it hard for people so they give up. I know my elder brother, he used to be a chippy, and had his own business and worked for himself, sort of like self-employed. Anyway, he turned 70-something, and he said, "Oh, I've had enough working, I'm retiring." So he retired and shut down the business and everything like this. And he tried getting the pension. He fooled around with it for ages, and he was doing it through an accountant. He was just paying the accountant. He paid the accountant $3 or $4 grand, and he still needed other stuff. He just said, "Oh, screw it. It's not worth it, not worth it." He said he wasn't really that keen. He didn't care if he got any money or not, because he has investments and things, so he wasn't really that worried about that. But he wanted like the pensioner sort of deal you get, where you get free transport. You can use trains and stuff like that for free or very cheap. Your house rates are reduced. You get your license for free. You get a car registration for free. All this sort of stuff. So he was just after the benefits sort of thing, but no, couldn't get it. So it really, really crazy. So yeah, this is what's happening in Australia. They just make it that damn hard for you. A lot of people give up. But then if you're a refugee, or you come over from some of these other freaking countries and you end up in Australia, they'll put you up in hotels and give you 3 meals a day and everything, give you money, and then find your house and give you a car and everything else, But if you're an Australian, you can't get bugger all out of them, So yeah. Anyway, I'd be interested to see if you've had any troubles, if anyone's on the pension, if you've had troubles getting your pension, or how difficult it was, or, how many hoops they make you jump through. Because I tell you, I haven't had to jump through any hoops yet. I just haven't heard a damn thing from them, and I still don't know what's going on. So hopefully later in the week when the mate gets down to the Social Services Australia office, we might get some answers. But as it is at the moment, I got no idea what's going on. No idea at all what's going on. Anyway, that's it for today. Leave some comments down below. Like, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, we're just going to talk about crazy crap happening around the world, you know, and probably mainly Australia and Japan, because that's sort of what I know most about. Anyway, that's it for today. Have a good one.